The next industrial revolution is the Africa reset button. That's it.
What if I told you that Africa's poverty is not by accident, but by design?
What's that thing that keeps you inspired to carry on every day?
I don't really have an inspiration that is superficial. I don't aspire to own a jet.
Sometimes in Africa, we talk too much. It's time to do. Let's do. Okay? Enough conferences. Okay? We got to walk out of here and go do. Okay? I'm 64 years old. I feel blessed to have seen the telecom revolution. But it required a generation of us who were telecom bandits. We went out and we created the Econnets, the MTNs, the Vodacoms, the Glow Mobiles, African companies, by the way. We created them. And then came the internet revolution, and we sat it out. We sat it out. And others went and created the Amazons of this world, the Alibabas of this world, and we sat out and we just sat in the glow of what we did in the mobile industry. Now AI is here.
There's a lot of African innovation. Did you know, for instance, that there's this inventor in Congo who's been able to power a house just by plugging cables onto trees? Right? There's this inventor in Zimbabwe who actually has been able to build an electric car, but not just an electric car where you recharge, you actually don't even have to recharge the battery.
Wow.
Yes, we have that. Right? You know that there's an inventor in Namibia, a 16-year-old, who effectively has built a phone that does not need antennas or anything like that. Do you hear those stories? No. Why?
That's the
question
we should be
why,
asking.
right?
Right.
But then the next kid who's going to do a social media platform will be all over the world.
What if I told you that Africa's poverty is not by accident, but by design? For generations, a socio-religious matrix has conditioned us to believe that struggle is destiny, that wealth is evil, that success without suffering is suspicious. We were told to pray for miracles instead of building solutions, to wait for Savior instead of leading our own transformation. Here is the truth. Africa is not poor. Africa is programmed to stay poor. And the moment we wake up, we rewrite the script. We stop begging and start building. We stop following and start leading. Mass awakening is not a choice. It is a necessity. Question the system. Own your own mind. Create wealth with purpose. Africa's future is ours to shape. Africa, wake up. Break the matrix. Mindset revolution. These are hashtags we can use to trend on this topic. Many thanks.
There's a blog post going viral that says that Burkina Faso has made, I think, $16 billion in the past year from gold. Now, you guys know where I stand on this. First of all, they have about 60,000 tons of gold produced a year. The value of that, even at these very high gold prices, is about $6 billion. Of that, only 5% is owned by Burkina Faso, including this new nationalization they're doing is 5%. The new contracts that were just issued to a Russian company for mining licenses for gold gives the Russians 75% of that gold. You don't have to believe me. You don't even need to check mainstream media, because I know a lot of you love ChatGPT and Grok. So you can go to AI, ask AI. I'm not lying. Burkina Faso does not have the most gold in Africa, does not even have the most gold in West Africa. Even in West Africa, both Ghana and Mali have more gold than Burkina Faso. Again, you don't have to believe me. You should check. You should also think about why you only see dubbed videos of Traore where he's speaking in English, because the man speaks in French. It is a francophone country, okay? You're not even seeing subtitles, you're seeing dubbed AI videos, and they're telling you that that is what he said. They're not even translating it so you can hear the original French. I need all of us to consider why pro-Traore, anti-democratic messages are being pushed by the same elements at the same time where the Sahel is becoming the epicenter for terrorism in the world, and who is benefiting from this shift the anti-democracy shift, because we must also consider, yes, if we say that democracy hasn't worked, because I'm not gonna lie, it's not like I'm loving the situation in Nigeria right now, but has autocracy worked? Togo has had the same president forever. Is it all fine and dandy? Is that all fine and dandy? Is Uganda the oasis of East Africa? Because Museveni's been there forever. If you're going to tell me that the opposite works, if it's military, if it's whatever, then you have to also be able to prove to me that it has worked even within our region. Because what our region is going through right now is very scary. Yeah, we have terrorists fighting with drones that our militaries don't have. We have foreigners being sighted with these terrorists by locals. At the same time, we have this propaganda machine gaining traction, and I feel like people aren't thinking. Gold, there are gold deposits, there's gold reserves, there's gold production capacity, right? In order for somebody to make $16 billion, to just jump to the charts, the most gold-rich country in Africa, there must be gold there, right? There must be some geological backing. You, as I said, you don't need to believe me. You don't need to believe Western media. You don't need to even believe the African journalists that have been kicked out of Burkina, both Francophone and Anglophone. You don't need to believe the Burkinabe human rights activists. Shebi, you guys love AI. Go and ask ChatGPT. Like I'm telling you, you don't need to believe me. But you do need to think. Because you need to think about the fact that these insurgents are moving down to Nigeria and moving towards the Atlantic Ocean, and you have to ask yourself why. And what does that mean for your safety and the integrity of your nation?
Black Americans, if you have the opportunity to visit somewhere, I would say visit Africa. Like, go see what Africa is about. Like, there are amazing places in Africa. You're going to see how loved you are. People are very welcoming and just happy, even with the conditions. They're happy. I think it's a good perspective. You're gonna get a good perspective on life, and that's why I like traveling. You get to see other things that, just make you appreciate life more, understand other cultures. But being Black, if you were born here, definitely, if you get the opportunity, go to Africa. Let me tell you, they will love you there.
What is it really like to be an African creator? Let me give you a short glimpse of my story. My name is Tumi, Tumi. I'm 23 years old and I was born, raised, and grew up in Surulere, Lagos, Nigeria. If you know Surulere, Lagos, you will know it is the trenches of the trenches. At least where I came from, everyone is hustling. Everyone is one way or the other fighting for survival. And for me, I am the first child, I am the first daughter, and I am even the first granddaughter in a very average Nigerian household. The weight of expectations was heavy. Home, school, and church. That was my entire world growing up in a deeply religious household. But in those moments, I knew there had to be more to life than just that circle. I didn't want to live an average life simply because I was African or Nigerian. And that was when I made a decision that changed everything. Nobody is coming to save me. If I want something different, I have to create it for myself. That was when my journey as a creator began. In 2019, the very year I got into the University of Ibadan, I tasted freedom for the first time. As someone who grew up in a very religious household, I tasted freedom for the first time and I grabbed it with both hands. I made sure to join as many UI student groups I could join and messaged every single person on each student group and built my very first platform on WhatsApp. I even created a blog called To Me and You. And at that time, I think I charged around 1,500 Naira to 3,000 Naira for ads on my WhatsApp status. And I quickly realized that what I had wasn't just a side hustle. It was a seed. And like any seed, it needed the right soil. That was when I started learning digital skills and creating at the same time. Between 2020 to 2023, I faced rejection after rejection after rejection. I remember starting out on Upwork and applying for jobs on Upwork, sometimes as little as $50. And I got turned down simply because I was African, over and over again. People didn't see me as qualified, not because of my skills, but because of where I came from. But instead of letting it break me, I decided to flip the script. I don't want to beg for opportunities because I am African. I will create so much value that opportunities come looking for me. And so I doubled down and became the social media princess. I built my brand, created content while learning, and I stayed consistent even when I felt no one was watching me. Then came 2024, my breakthrough year. After years of sowing seeds, everything began to align. Everything began to make sense. Immediately I was done in the university, I told myself, I am not moving back to my average Nigerian household. So immediately after school, I moved to a completely new city, a completely new environment I have never been to. And I took the courage to do this all on my own. So I got my own apartment. I furnished my apartment under 3 months and things started getting better for me from there. Things started working out. I grew from getting so worked up and begging for a $50 job on Upwork to being paid as high as this amount to just create and post one video. Just one video on my platform as an African creator. I started earning consistently in 7 figures every month. I am able to afford and buy anything I want for myself. And for the first time, I wasn't hustling to survive. I kept on getting different deals from international brands, different partnerships from international brands as an African creator. There was always abundance, and I am not living as an average 23-year-old Nigerian girl. Every single thing was possible because I chose to believe that being an African creator doesn't mean being average. It means being limitless. And this is why I am so passionate, and I'll be attending the African Creators Conference 2025. This is not just another event. It is a platform that aligns with Africa's digital future. A space where creators, innovators, and dreamers like us can come together and build the future we imagine. We can drive real impact in the creative industry. We can reinforce our commitment to sustainable development, innovation, and youth empowerment. African creators are so gifted. We are so talented. We just need the right resources, the right technology, the right network, and platforms like this to amplify our voices, which will lead to the next wave of global innovation. So if you are a creator, the African Creators Conference 2025 is happening live in Abuja on the 26th and 27th of September, which is this month. I'll be there, and I want to see you there too, because being an African creator is more than just a title. It is a responsibility. It is a movement. So,
what's your name and where are you from?
My name is Manny Omido. I am Black African American.
Tell me about your style.
It's like really rooted in Black culture within different decades. The 60s, 70s, Jimi Hendrix style, 90s hip hop culture. Usually when I'm shopping, I'm looking for the loudest piece, especially like with pants. I love to experiment with pants and bottoms in general. Fashion has brought me out of my comfort zone. Fashion allows me to be loud without saying anything. Accessorizing is the place you really get to show you. Without it, you feel naked. At least that's how I feel. Anybody can buy a t-shirt and pants. Fits well, it looks good. Once you start to put boxers on, jewelry, rings, grills, it just starts to allow you to like show who you are within the outfit. The friends that I hang around are stylists as well, content creators. Every time we see each other, we kind of look like superheroes in our own right. I'm a big music head. Everyone around me calls me like an old soul. I love like jazz, R&B, oldie music. Also playing basketball, I look to Dennis Rodman, people back in the 90s who hooped. They really made their tunnel fits a runway for real. Moving here gave me that freedom to be like, I can do whatever I want here. I used to dye my hair a lot. Greens, pinks, just trying whatever I thought looked cool. I never want to be put in a box. Just do what you think feels good for you at the end of the day.